Greetings from Toledo, Ohio. Chaplain Greg Holden. I'm walking through a Toledo neighborhood. I guess they call this the South End. And I'm heading to the hospice facility where my mother-in-law is heading toward the end of her life. We have no idea when that will be, but we're happy that she was approved for this hospice inpatient unit where we can all visit her. When she was in the hospital, she said one thing of interest. She said many things of interest, but one thing in particular she said was, "Well, I have nothing more to teach you." And I said, "No, you have one more thing. And that is how to die a good death." Wow. How'd you like to see a hawk? Let's see if we can turn this thing around. He went up in that tree. He just flew up in that tree. There he goes, right around that building. It's probably a peregrine. Look more like a peregrine falcon now that I see it. Let's see if we can see him on the other end. Anyway, how to round out your life and live a good death. The concept of a good death is quite foreign to most people. Not all. My Buddhist guru, Gelek Rinpoche, is the author of a book called Good Life, Good Death. The 1-minute summary is, if you live a good life, you will have a good death. And what is a good death? Most people go around go through their lives wanting no death. They try to think about no death. They don't think about it. They hear about people dying. They hear about all the terrible things that the media presents them with. And they just go on. They don't think, well, oh, there's a hawk. A falcon. Birds have always been important to me. And to see a falcon or a hawk in this neighborhood is pretty interesting. There he is. Let's see if we can get up in that tree and take a look. There he is. What are you? You got a long tail. You're probably a Cooper's hawk. What do you all think? I don't know. Anyhow, good death. A good death is peaceful. A good death is happy. There is actually a book by a Tibetan Lama called How to Enjoy Death. There's a concept for millions and millions of people around the world, Hindus and Buddhists particularly. Death is not the end. It's a step on to the next stage in your existence, a greater existence. A good death is one in which you actually let go of all attachments. Dedicate yourself to meeting with a teacher, finding a community, abandoning all wrong concepts, wrong conceptions, self-grasping and self-cherishing. And practicing this with every breath until your last breath comes, at which point you can go through the intermediate stage of the bardo relatively easily, because it can be difficult and traumatic in its own way. But you can go through that and hopefully get off the wheel of rebirth, samsara, and attain enlightenment. Or barring that, attain the stage of a bodhisattva, where you commit yourself to going back and helping all beings in your next existence. In my spiritual group, Jewel Heart, one of the members was Allen Ginsberg, the famous poet. He died, I think, in 1997. Actually, Gelug Rinpoche was there saying prayers for him in New York. Ginsberg had a big party as he was dying in his place. He called all these people to say goodbye. He gave away one possession after another. He tied up all the loose ends, and he generated a lot of joy and in his heart and for his friends and loved ones. This is what Peggy's mother is doing. She spent a couple days ago, she spent the day calling one person after another, saying goodbye. She's had a steady stream of visitors coming up to her room to say goodbye. She's been joyous. She's been happy to have us all around. She's showing us what a good death is. If you live a good life, you will have a good death. Not everyone, of course, is fortunate enough to know that they're nearing the end of their life. It just hits them all of a sudden. You never know. That's why you always have to live a good life, because you never know when the end will come. It can come at any time. Life is so fragile. We've seen that with Annette in a previous video that we made only last week with her. She was just fine and in good spirits, and you know, look what happened. Quickly, so quickly, she fell, she had a heart attack, and all this other stuff happened. If you live a good life, you are prepared. If you live a good life, you know this is not the end. You know, this is the game, this is a theater, this is a test that we go through in order to progress. And if you die a good death, your death is the culmination of that. It's a transcendence. You transcend all the delusions and sufferings of this world. Well, coming up to Salt Creek, and I will need to find a way across, so I'm going to sign off and come back in a minute. The vast majority of people live their lives as though there is no tomorrow. They are divorced from death until something happens. There's Cardinal, there's Blue Jay, by the way. I'm convinced that this is why people do the crazy things they do, because they don't accept that death is, you know, one of the first things we learned in Buddhist studies was to be aware of death every day, to remind yourself that I must remember that death is quick to strike, for spirit quivers in flesh like a bubble in water. And after death, one's good and evil deeds trail after one, like the shadow trails the body. In other words, your karma will follow you. So generate as much good karma as you possibly can. Often when people were dying in the hospital, I would pray that they attain the 5 powers. The 5 powers that would help them have a smooth transition to the afterlife. The first being the white seed. Let go of all attachments to this life. The second being renounce all self-cherishing and self-grasping. In other words, the ego. The belief that your ego is solid and important and you have to protect it. With this power, may you transcend the ego and go past it and realize the interdependence of all beings. The next is to find a teacher in a community. I take this to mean your family, your friends, what we commonly call your spirit friends, your spirit family. Next is to have good motivation. Motivation for the benefit of all beings. Next is habituation, to continue to do this with every breath. That's what my mother-in-law is doing in her own way. She's Catholic, she's not Buddhist, but she wants to connect with her family. She wants to connect with Jesus. And she wants to have the joy that has never known suffering, just as we all do. Just climbed up the big hill. Here we are at the inpatient facility. Very nice by the creek in a forested area and a high school. Peggy and Judy. Hi.
Hello. Morning. How are you?
And there's Mom. You want to say something to Tim or Linda or anybody who might be watching?
What?
People who can't be here, you want to say something to them?
You have to come to a place like this. It's very nice.
What are your hopes right now? What are your hopes?
That the Lord will take me soon.
Okie doke. Well,
we'll all keep
pray for that. We know that'll happen.
Pray for that.
All right. Well, we know that'll happen.
I just don't want to linger for long here.